Seymour,
Okay,
thank you so much for being there to try to make this happen.
Okay. See if it was worth it.
Yeah, I hope so.
Okay, you want to start asking me questions?
Yes, I can start. I had some presentation to tell the people to introduce you, and then I can start some questions if you don't mind.
Okay.
Okay. So I don't know if we are on. Okay. So welcome to the last session of Plug&Play. Today we have Seymour Chwast. Can you help me with your last Chwast? Okay, Seymour Chwast. And we are going to have a talk about you and to know more about you. Seymour is an American graphic designer known for his diverse body of work and lasting influence of visual culture. He's co-founder of the Pushpin Studios, where he reintroduced graphic styles from the past and transformed them into a contemporary vocabulary. His revolutionary work altered the course of contemporary graphic communication in the 60s and continues to affect the field of design worldwide. Developing and refining his innovative approach to design over the course of the 6 decades, Chwast's clients include leading corporations, advertising agencies, and publishers both in the US and abroad. His designs and illustrations have graced posters, packaging, records, covers, advertisements, and animated films, as well as corporate and environmental graphics. His works has been exhibited in major galleries and museums around the world. His posters reside in the permanent collection of MoMA in New York, the Cooper Hewitt Smithsonian Design Museum in New York also, and the Philadelphia Museum of Arts, the Library of Congress, and the Gutenberg Museum in Mainz, in Germany. In 2015, Washington University's Modern Graphic History Library acquired the complete collection of Chwast posters. So it's with a great honor that I present you Seymour Chwast. Please welcome him.
Okay, Seymour.
Once again, thank you. An honor to have you here in the Plug&Play in Porto. And I've sent you some of the questions yesterday, and I will start to ask you. You have seen a lot of changes in the world during this your lifetime. So can you highlight some events that were important for you as a designer, or as that make you think that as a designer you can make a change? Seymour? Okay. Seymour?
Your sound is gone. Hello?
Okay, my son is...
Hello?
Can you hear me now?
It's better, yeah.
Okay. I don't know if you hear my question. I was asking you that you have seen a lot of changes in the world during your lifetime. Can you highlight some of the events that were important for you as a designer?
The events that were important to me?
Yes, yes. Because I've seen a lot of changes in the world, so it's like you passed... Yeah, in the 20th century, you've seen... You present...
Well, I've been through one world war.
Yes.
Which was good to win. The Vietnam War, which was a waste, right? And the latest Iraqi war, which was terrible. So that's what's been going on around me.
Yeah, you speak a lot about the wars in your work. You have the war really present since the 50s till now. The war is it's an issue for you. Do you think that as a designer, you can make some difference or warn the people about the war?
It's not easy, not being a journalist or a politician, but we do the best we can. I mean, posters are sort of, the effect of posters is really very limited here, but some images are seen around the world and become important. So they're still worth doing.
Yeah, but some of your works are really remarkable. About war, that illustration, the Book of Wars, and the poster about the bad breath. And so it's an iconic works that you have that show your concern about it. Do you think not only designers look at your work and see what you see about it, so they are concerned about the war, or not it's the disease, actually the war is like a disease, but about this, do you think that you can reach them?
Well, I do what I can do. During the Vietnam War, I did a poster called End Bad Breath with an Uncle Sam, because my country was involved in a terrible war here, and that was interesting graphically, because I was able to do a woodcut here and to do an image that people could understand, and there's some humor to that, and because there's interest in that poster around the world, then maybe at least my point of view here was seen by a lot of people.
But you continue to express your concern about it, right? You told me now about Iraq, for instance, that it's still you Americans really like to be in these kind of things. So you've got a lot of things: Korea, Vietnam, Iraq, Afghanistan. So you've got a lot of moments, like big moments. But we can. You said about one thing that I wanted to ask you about, because you told about your concerns, but you have got more things happening now in America. And you think a graphic designer can make can help to show the concerns about now? You've got Black Lives Matter also. Everything is happening now. I think it's an explosion of things that is going on now. Do you think a designer has got a role to play now also in this moment?
Ask me the question. What is the question?
I was asking you, actually, I was trying to understand better the role of the graphic designer now, because a lot of things is going on. And do you think it's still, I wouldn't say responsibility, because we are not responsible for that. You said politicians and other agents of the society. But do you think as a graphic designer also have this kind of social role, or this participant role that he can play to help this?
Sure. The words, the slogans, the images are very important. Those things that we're affected by and can change our point of view. I mean, we know how important graphic design can be. And one example is Hitler in Germany. Their symbol was the swastika, and beautifully designed with red and black colors against white was great. It was a terrible time with the worst time in the history of the world. But their graphic design was terrific. So what do you do about that? We still do the best work we can and hope we're doing it for a good cause.
Yes, that's true. They had a really nice design, and probably the propaganda also worked really well because they had a good design, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I would like to change a little bit more, like your early days, and you had a sentence that you said that you often took the subway from Coney Island to Manhattan, ate lunch at Automat, and then spent the afternoon in the front of the paintings at the MoMA. and this is from 1947 MoMA retrospective, and that it had a great influence on the young designer. Do you think that seeing and knowing art was an important step for you to become a designer? I know that it's a question that you already answered.
I'm sorry, seeing and knowing what?
Art.
Oh, art. It's absolutely good for the designer. Absolutely.
Yeah.
The things are important for designers here. Knowing what's going on around the world. They have to know the current events and everything that's going around them. They should not be isolated by the world. It's important that they know everything that's happening. And that goes to what other people are doing, whether it's other design, the work of other designers or artists in general. And I love artwork from the past, and it affected the work that I did. And it really inspired me to see the work of painters and graphic artists of the past.
You also so the art was a good influence for you, but do you have another influences that were essential for you to take you on this path to become a graphic designer? So the art was one of them, but is there another one?
Is there? I don't understand.
Sorry, if there was another influence that beside art, the art, do you think there was another influences that you can point?
What influenced me?
Yes,
Well,
yes.
I've always been influenced in the media, whether it's magazine design, or anything that's going on, anything that's visual. I always loved cars and airplanes, and I drew them since I was very young. During World War II, I drew a lot of battle scenes of airplanes battling each other. Here, tanks also are good, but I'm also obsessed by some other kinds of objects. As I mentioned, cars especially.
Yeah, so we could say the war was an influence for you.
What's that?
The war was an influence for you.
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah. Okay.
But comics are, I was like everybody else, all of us. I loved comics, and that influenced my work as well.
You talked about the magazines. In our days, the magazines are still here, but we have a lot of things that we can look at, like the internet is a place that you can search everything now. Do you think you can see you as a young man in our days now? And do you think you still have the magazines, or in what references can you see now that would be helpful for the students, for instance? I don't know if you understood my question.
Yeah, state your question again.
Okay, you told about magazines as an inspiration and reference for your work.
Yeah.
But in our days, internet is spreading a lot. Okay, so I was trying to make an exercise with you and to put you as a young man now and looking at the internet. And what can you see now, if you can tell us your...
Well, internet can be very helpful, right? The computer itself, going from doing everything by hand and then turning to the computer it took a long time for me to get used to working on the computer. But there are things that are very useful, whether it's Google or communicating with clients or whatever. It's a terrific tool. It doesn't replace your mind here. You can't get those ideas that could solve problems easily here. You still have to think, and you have to use your own talent here in order to create the work. Don't rely on the computer, because the computer can do something that might look real, but it's not. It probably is not you. You have to create work that is personal, as well as solving the client's problems.
So you see the computer not as a tool, actually, no?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a great tool.
Mm-hmm. And not as a solution.
No.
You have studied also in Cooper Union in New York. Was it important for you? How did it help? How did it help to you to build yourself as a designer? Sorry.
Can you say that again?
Yes, sorry, it was my English. You have been in Cooper Union, right, to
Yes.
study? Okay. How was it? It was important for you to bring you to this to your choice to become a designer?
Well, yeah, things I learned at Cooper Union. I learned about topography. I learned how to set type here, and a couple of my classes were important. Also important were a couple of my classmates, Milton Glaser here. I watched his work, what he did, and eventually here and Edward Sorrell, and we became partners in a studio called Pushpin, and that came out of Cooper Union.
So it was. So you started the Pushpin after you left the Cooper Union, right?
Yeah, after we graduated.
Yeah, and you started the Pushpin to not to fight, but to not follow the rules that were at the moment the mainstream, like the modernism and the illustrations that were really realistic, and you showed another way to think about and to work in design. So did they taught you the modernism in Cooper Union? Was a reflection, or was something that you want to fight against because you were fed up the modernists? What happened?
No, well, it happened. We got interested in styles of the past that we were able to study and use in our work. First, it was sort of Victorian style, then it was Art Nouveau, and then Art Deco, and then thing we called Streamline, and revived those styles along with the topography that went with it. And we were able to do interesting work that way. And for illustration became much more graphic, less sentimental. I'm talking about magazine illustration generally. It just became stronger and more real and more graphic, using doing it using different methods in order to do our work.
Okay, but it's a curiosity because we taught that in the school, in the classes about modernism, but you live there and you have been and you changed the language. Was it so hard? Was it so about grids? Was everything about everything in the right corner? How was it?
Okay, restate the question, please. A little difficult.
I was asking about the modernism and that period of design, the international movement, and
I see.
Yes, so
Modernism and postmodernism.
Yeah, you crossed the line.
Right. we were sort of mostly postmodernists because we enjoyed some things like decoration, where old decorative type and other styles, and finding new interest in typefaces that were done for those periods. On the other hand, our work doing books, me especially, I've designed a lot of books, and the design tends to be modern. They're things they're rules that I have for myself, and they tend to be easy to understand. There's clarity here, and free of decoration.
Yes, but the modernists didn't like so much the decoration, right? At that time, you were well accepted. Your work was well accepted, or you were like someone that was not doing the right thing. I don't know if you can make me understand. I don't know. Do you think how the designers, the mainstream designers saw you?
Well, as a commercial artist, we do the best that we can. Clients can reject what we do. We try to solve their problems, and after we solve their problems, we do whatever we want. Right? We take the work in a direction that we want to go in. And so we understand it's always a collaboration with the people who pay our bills here, and just hope for the best. Sometimes it doesn't work out. You get rejections, and you lose that work that's not worth doing.
And the clients at that time, they liked the difference?
Yeah, well, we sort of, for illustration that I did, some of it was sort of turned out to was humorous or cartoony or what, and there was a market for that. Illustrators were working in that way, and the clients and the readers responded to it.
About your illustration, about your works, you explain our world with a lot of humor and irony, and I would like to know if it's a way to deal with life, or it's a graphic persona that you create to communicate.
Well, it's a way of inserting the mind here in our work, whether we're ironic here or whether there's a concept that may produce something that's surrealistic. We sort of manipulate the forms here to do what we want them to do. But everything here in terms of solving the problem of the illustration and keeping the client happy.
Yeah, but so it's not a persona. So the Seymour and the designer, it's the same. So you don't have like a rock star persona and as a graphic designer, and then you're really shy, or you don't like humor, and you're really bad humorous. So it's the same thing, right?
Well, the system is I have to make the art director happy with illustrations, and the art director has to sell it to the editor. I am always better luck with the art directors here. Sometimes the editor doesn't like what I do,
Okay.
and then the art director has to give me the news.
Can you tell us about your works that you like the most, regarding to your results, the impact or process? Can you tell us something about that?
About the work? What
About your
kind
work?
of work
Yes,
I like
yes,
to
the
do?
one- yes, your favorite, or the one that you want to highlight.
Well, I love doing posters, partly because it's a big size. And it can go in different directions. Here, there's a recent book of my posters. The book is called Poster Man, and it's got 150 of my posters here that I love doing. Yeah, and I love doing designing books, especially for children. I love doing children's books.
Okay.
A book that I always wanted to do, I do as a graphic novel, hasn't happened, and I don't think it'll ever happen. I wonder.
Okay, yes, that's one of my questions. If you think that was something missing in your career, and probably it's a graphic novel, right?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, the book I wanted to do is Candide by Voltaire. It's a lovely book that I can identify with, and I would make a great graphic novel. But nobody's interested in that.
It can be a self-publication, no?
Maybe somebody's done it. I'm not sure, but I would love to have done it myself. I've done 4 graphic novels from literature.
Yeah. I think one of them was the Dante's Divine Comedy, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
that was my first one.
Yeah. Okay. Now, how do you look at them now? The works that you like the most. So, like, how do you saw them? And would you change anything about them?
With what?
Your work, like the children's book, like pick one of the children's book that you said that you.
Yeah.
And would you change anything, like if it was today to make it again, or you look at him?
You mean from the past?
Yes, probably. Yes, look into the past. Yes, yes. Like,
Oh, I would do it different now than I would have in the past. I don't know. My artwork, my illustration, and hasn't improved very much through the years, but and it's difficult now to get ideas for work. You know, whether it's a drawing that I would submit to a magazine or whatever, coming up with new ideas is not easy for me. It used to be easier.
yeah, but you have a long career, so I think it's normal, right? But you have the graphic novel, the Candid to Voltaire. You need to do it. About your process, can you describe us the way that you approach a design project in terms of methodology? So you get the briefing, and then what?
Then I just think about the visual language. What things would I do that would stand for problems that I would have in solving the illustration.
You speak about you are an illustrator. You really like illustration. So you start from the visual things. So you start visually to work about the project.
Well, I look at the subject and those things, those objects, the images that are associated with it. I look for those and try to find something that hasn't been done before. If I have to do something about New York City, they're sort of limited as what kinds of symbols stand for New York. So I try to find something that will not be a cliche or something that I would be able to present in an unusual way. But that's the way I approach the work.
And did your approach change with time and with technology? Or it was always the same approach?
What?
Because we had the computers, so you were at the time without computers and after and with the computers. So with this technology, the new technologies, did you change your approach to the design, or it was the same approach always to make it visual, to like?
I don't think the computer has a. What the computer has helped me with is, if I wanted to draw a tiger, I can go to Google and find terrific tigers. That's what the computer is good for. It used to be the coloring I often work with in line work. It has to be filled with color. And doing it on the computer is easier than the old way for me. So.
Okay. So you deal well with this new era. And about the touchscreens, I know that you had some quotes for the print mag, and it seems like digital. Do you use the digital to use that, or you start drawing by hand and then digitalize the image and then send it to the print mag?
I draw on paper.
Mm-hmm.
The rule.
Okay, so first,
again, I'm not interested in drawing on the computer.
Okay. That was what I wanted to know, and I was trying to know if you use computer to work, or you still using?
No, I use the computer to manipulate whatever I do, coloring or was changing, or but not to do the actual drawing. I usually start with a small thumbnail and work my way up, but always on paper.
Seymour, and how do you see the graphic design in our days?
How do I see it?
Yes.
I don't know which way it's going. I don't see a hell of a lot. I see it. There's some beautiful publications. I'm grateful for the New York Times, because with their magazine and some of the other parts of the newspaper, there are illustrations that it could be done. In the magazine, there's some great design by terrific magazine designers.
Okay. And what future do you see to the communication design? What do you think it's
the future?
Yes.
Well, I hope if we do it with images instead of telepathy, where all I do is think of my design and transport it to you directly, where I wouldn't have to draw anything. Well, I hope that we can keep on drawing.
That is nice. Yeah.
Drawing, by the way, drawing is very important for design. If you draw, especially drawing the figure here, the way you compose your two-dimensional surface here, drawing is very important.
Okay. And we can see that in your projects, because it's a lot of drawing and a lot of illustrations. And the drawing is also a way of thinking, right?
Drawing is a way of
thinking.
Seeing?
Sorry?
I don't know what that means.
Thoughts, to think about, to imagine things. So it's not only the concept that sometimes when you draw, and we need to, it's a way of expressing, so finding the solutions.
Oh, sure. Well, you develop and you know, you start rough, try to come up with ideas, and then eventually come up with something that's unique. It's a finished piece of artwork. So you keep it all tentative. You don't do the finished work right away. You wait, you start rough, try to imagine, get some terrific ideas, and then complete it. That's why the computer often gets in the way, because it seems to solve the problems, and it doesn't.
Yeah, I agree with you. I have a question. It's like a doubt that I have. Do you hear from Europe design, or you in America are just focus in the American design? Can you hear the sound of the graphic design in Europe, or it's just US?
I don't know. Yeah, most designers I know and me, we're totally influenced by Europe, graphic design.
And
a little bit from Japan, I guess, but it is Europe.
Sorry, Seymour, I didn't understood the question.
I'm sorry?
Okay, it was lots of feedback. And one final question to you. It's because we have students hearing us, a lot of students are probably hearing us. What advice can you give to our young students?
Work hard and save your money. That's it.
Probably. Yeah, probably will need to save some money for the next times. How are the things going on in the United States? We know that they changed. It's not design, because you said that we also need to be aware about everything is happening. So you changed something like a president in the past time. So you see a difference now?
Well, I'd like to say, for young designers and illustrators, is that you can't be so far out that you will not get any work. You have to do it so you're doing something unique that hasn't been seen before, but is understood by the people who are going to pay the bills here. And you know you have to solve the problem. So don't be too far out, but don't worry about trends. Trends are very bad. You don't want to, if you hear about trends, it's too late. So you can make your own trend here, but it has to fit into what people will understand.
Seymour, I think we are not going to spoil now more the interview, because it was so beautiful what he said, that I think any question that I would make to you would like spoil this moment. It was really nice, your advice to our students.
Okay.
Okay, it was my final question, and thank you so much for being here, and
Sure.
try very hard to open this window to Portugal and to Porto, and it was really a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Bye now. My dog is barking. I have to find out what she's barking about.
Right?
Bye now.
Bye.
No Plug and Play de 2020.